Prepare to get gas, because it's time for the Week in Gear. This week, Paul Davids visits a magical kingdom and brings back a pedal. A Walrus makes a looper pedal you might need a seatbelt for, and Lava Music has a new desktop amp thingy that may or may not be sentient. This episode is sponsored by Vola Guitars. More about them in a little bit. Now, before we get into Twig 87, last week I put up a pedal for raffle at a mere $2 per ticket, and I managed to paste the wrong link into the video description. So, if you tried to get the Beatronics Wannabe in the raffle last week, it's still up there, it's still available for another 3 weeks, and this time there is a proper link that actually works in the video description and first comment. You can click that and potentially get the Wannabe for about £2. Good luck. Now, let's kick off this week's most exciting gear releases with something from Mr. Benton, and Mr. Harley Benton. If this guitar looks familiar, it should, because back in Twig 82, I raved about the red version of the Harley Benton ST80FR. And now it's back in a brand new lime sparkle finish. Ooh, or ooh. Same specs, same Floyd Rose equipped fire breather, but now it looks like it was dipped in radioactive Gatorade. You've got two options, the single humbucker version or the dual humbucker HH. Both come with an American basswood or basswood body with a tapered heel, a roasted Canadian flame maple neck and fingerboard. That's got a compound radius of 12 inches to 16 inches and a Floyd Rose 1000 locking trem system. That is pro hardware in a guitar that costs less than your last fuzz pedal with 2 knobs on it. Maybe. The pickups are the same Tesla Plasma X1B in the bridge and the added X1N in the neck for the HH model. So you get tight, modern metal tones, or possibly 80s, that's not that modern. Or it's not modern at all, what am I talking about? Or blend both for a little bit of lead tone that, I don't know, sings, screams and makes your hair all big and hairspray-y. Oh, and glow-in-the-dark side dots, because, obviously. If you saw the red one in Twig 82, you will know that I really loved that guitar. I love this one a little bit less, because for me, if you're going to go super strat, you got to really go super strat with the colours and the design. That being said, if you want to shred and go unnoticed and nobody sees you shredding your face off, this is a contender. Interestingly, the Harley Benton ST80FR in lime green seems to be a tiny bit more expensive than the red ones, like just a couple of bucks. The single pickup version will set you back around 400 notes, and if you want the HH, it's another 50 notes on top, or thereabouts, depending on where you live. Gasometer, add to cart. Twice. Okay, now let's get this out of the way. Paul Davids is an international treasure. That man could demo a toaster and he'd make it sound like a boutique analog dream machine. But this week, he's got a real pedal in his hands. The brand new Cornerstone Nucleo in collaboration with Paul Davids. This is inspired by a place that Paul actually visited, and as usual, he makes it sound absolutely stunning. Love me a bit of Paul. A few years ago, Paul Davids, it's always Paul Davids, by the way, never Paul or Mr. Davids, Paul Davids. A few years ago, Paul Davids, visited the abandoned Zwentendorf nuclear plant here in Austria, a facility that was built but never activated. So it's perfectly safe to go inside of. Inside that massive reactor chamber, if you haven't seen or more importantly heard that video that he made, it sounds epic in the best way possible, and it is definitely worth a few minutes of your time to go and check out Paul's channel and subscribe. He needs the numbers. With the help of Lewitt Audio, he recorded impulse responses inside that reactor space to capture the sonic signature, and now that sound is housed in a sleek stomp box called the Nucleo. Now, this isn't just another pedal with ambient printed on it. The reactor preset is literally modelled on those cavernous reverb reflections from Sventendorf. And because Paul experienced it firsthand, he's helped shape every parameter. So what you're hearing was born in that very space, but refined into a musical tool. It's a new band name for me. Andy Ferris, musical tool. What's under the hood? Right, there are 3 built-in modes. Reactor for that epic cavernous decay, room, and hall, just to make it a bit more usable, I guess. There is a voicing toggle as well. You can choose between normal, vintage, or lo-fi ambiance. And there are 3 faders for modulation, air, and flux. There's also a freeze/freeze pitch sustaining pad-like atmospheric mode. It's got a dedicated foot switch, so you can like play something and play over top of it. I want to do that. There's a blend knob, there's decay and tone for shaping your reverb tail, so even though it is a crazy mad reverb, it's still pretty recognizable from a control point. If you have a stereo rig, this will please you because it has stereo TRS input and stereo TRS output. It's got full MIDI control and preset capability. I think there are 3 on board and 128 via MIDI. I think. Help me out, Paul. And that USB socket is for firmware updates, plus, and get this, it doubles as an audio interface. Nice addition. I think this is Cornerstone's first DSP reverb. I think. And regardless, they went all in. It's not copying classic spring or plate reverb. It's capturing the real acoustics of a giant nuclear chamber and then combining that with the modern modulation and freeze functionality, modular controls, and studio-ready connectivity. And yes, of course, Paul says it sounds gorgeous. That coffee's kicking in. Hang on. Top it up and slow down. There are plenty of Reddit users, of course, and articles out there also note that even if you don't buy it, you should be glad it exists. And I totally agree with that. I'd like to try it at least once. Let's talk price. You're probably prepared for this, but if you want to purchase the Nucleo pedal, you're going to have to spend around 400 notes. So this is not a casual purchase. But it's not trying to be, and it's trying to do something different. And it's very cool to see my friend Paul putting stuff back into the guitar world. Something that I would like to do at some point. I do hope to try this out, maybe at Guitar Summit in a couple of months, and I look forward to making the longest video to only feature 1 note, because the decay time on this is up to 90 seconds. Blink, 90 seconds, video over. There you go, that's my marketing pitch. Would you watch that? I'd watch that, just to see if anything else happened. Maybe something good. The gasometer is glowing green for some reason, and I personally would add this pedal to cart without even playing it, but at the very least you should borrow it, meditate with it, let it drown your riff, and then buy it and cry into your empty pockets. It is beautiful enough to make it worth it though. Now, let's have a little sponsor break to find out a bit more about Vola guitars. Do you like the idea of seriously well-spec'd guitars without the middleman markup? Let's talk Vola guitars. Vola's flagship guitars are all made in Japan with insane attention to detail. They are direct to customer, which means that you get boutique quality without paying for a warehouse full of pallets. Each Vola guitar is built with premium components and they're professionally set up before they ship. Like actually set up. You take it out of the case, you tune it up, and you go straight on stage. Or YouTube in my case. This is my J.Z. Fro, and it was blinding out of the box. You can watch the review by clicking up there if you want to. And the designs are quite traditional, but with modern playability and a bit of a modern edge as well. This one is absolutely stunning, and a lot of the models come with some sort of expanded switching, which unlocks a whole extra level of tone, but doesn't make you feel like you're trying to pilot a plane. A few standouts that I like. The J.Z. Fro is a Strat-style trem roasted maple monster with an older body. Yes, please. If you need something a bit more shreddy, there is the Aries series, which has a locking trem and style for days. If you're going to take a look at anything, have a look at their 7 strings, because they are stealthily traditional. You could take that on stage, and I don't think many people would notice you were playing 7 strings until the chugging begins, of course. And if you want to save some cash, go to the link in the video description, use the code GuitarGeek, and grab your next Vola with a discount. I am going to reluctantly put this down now so we can get back to this episode of Twig. This week, Walrus Audio decided to drop a looper that is way cooler than it needs to be, and I have one right here. Meet the Xero Polylooper, a fully stereo dual channel looper with an emphasis on creativity and performance. What makes it different? Well, you don't just stack sounds, you structure them. I know, that's a weird thing to say, right? But here's how it works. There are 2 independent stereo loops with independent volume, pan, speed, and reverse per loop. There are 3 modes. Here we go. Strap in. Number 1, sync mode. Both loops share the same length and same time base. Pretty much standard traditional looping there, I think. Number 2 is unsynced mode. Ooh, for the more adventurous, where the loops drift freely with separate timing. And number 3, polyrhythmic mode, for the people with math degrees, where you have loops of different lengths staying rhythmically locked. Looking forward to testing that somehow. Bring on the math rock. There's 1 touch, reverse, and half speed, so each loop can be manipulated independently with dedicated controls for direction and playback speed. Woohoo! Oh, it's got sliders. I totally got lost in a slider world then. The Sliderverse. Put it down. There are unlimited overdubs with up to 3 minutes per loop. It's got tap tempo and MIDI clock sync, so you can stay locked into your rig or performance clock. There's USB-C for updates and MIDI in, MIDI through for being future-proofed and DAW friendly. Also, pick it up again, that's dangerous. It's expandable through an external dual foot switch socket. It comes in 2 colors, the Dreamy Cream version, which is that one there, and a blacked out edition. Ooh. The big idea here is flexibility and creation. This isn't a bare bones loop and go box. It's more of a loop performance tool, which is aimed at musicians who want options on stage or in a studio. I love the way Walrus Audio think, and the Xero is such a Walrus pedal. I am looking forward to taking a deep dive into this in a dedicated video. I can't stop holding it. I'm going to hold it like this. But for now, let's just say that if you want to get creative with looping without having to learn submenus and screen layouts, the Xero will do that for you, but it's going to set you back around 300 notes. It's not a budget looper by far, but it has things that other loopers don't. And who doesn't want to have a good old play with these sliders? Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop. What noise does the slider make? Swoosh, 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 swoosh. Yeah, that's it. This is a looper that's meant to inspire and create rather than just record and play things back to you. The gasometer? Oh, it's another add to cart, but that might change in a few days after I've made the video and played with these sliders a bit more. Swish, swish, swish. You know what we didn't expect this week? An amp that looks like someone tried to turn a photocopier into a Mac Studio, and it includes a 13.5-inch touchscreen, and it wants to replace half your studio gear at the very least. But here we are. The Lava Studio isn't just an amp. It's a fully integrated music creation system, apparently. Combining a modeling amp, a smart looper, there's another looper, multi-effects units, Bluetooth speaker, audio interface, and door-friendly control surface into one very Apple-esque aluminum enclosure. At the heart of this is a 13.3, not quite 13.5, a 13.3-inch tilting HD touchscreen, which is powered by Lava's custom operating system. It supports Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube directly. There's no need for third-party devices, so you could watch me on this. Hello. If you're watching me on this, hello, have a double hand wave. Because that's better than one, or that one. And this also uses a user interface that, where it looks halfway between like Logic Pro and a PlayStation 5, 6, 7, a gaming console. Specs-wise, it is packed. And if you want to get nerdy, there are links in the video description because you can see all the chips and things inside. But it is a hi-fi stereo speaker system with dual drivers for the woofer and two 2-inch tweeters, which is fun to say. There are 30 plus AI amp models for electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and the bass. There are 14 cabinet simulations and there are 37 effects. And I'm sure those numbers will grow. The Smart Looper mode with real-time bar detection, phrase tracking, and quantization for those not quite talented in pressing the button at the right time. Pointing no fingers. There's also an onboard tuner, there's a metronome, and there's drum patterns and jam tracks and lessons available. It is jam-packed with jam tracks and more. It also has a built-in USB-C audio interface for recording or reamping straight into your computer in DAW. There's MIDI support and expandable functionality via upcoming updates. There's Wi-Fi, there's Bluetooth 5.0, and there's an app called Lava Plus Mobile, which you have on your mobile. One of my favorite things about it is how it looks. And I think it looks even better when you put it on the studio stand that turns it into a sort of tilted control panel. I think it looks amazing. I hope you agree. Well, I don't hope you agree. If you agree, great. If you disagree, let me know why. I think they've either nailed it or completely missed the point. It's going to be one of those. Anyway, we've seen practice amps get smart before. You've got the Spark, you've got the Katana Air. These are the usual suspects. You've got the Moore stuff. But this seems to be something else entirely. Lava doesn't just want to be your amp, it wants to be your entire practice, writing, recording and jamming rig, and find its way into your living room without anyone in the family complaining. There's no confirmed price yet, but this looks like Lava's flagship product, and you can expect flagship numbers. I do know that it will be more than a Spark 2 and less than a Quad Cortex. That's all I know. My prediction is this. This could be Guitar Product of the Year. And it should have been my pick of the week, but you'll see why it isn't in a moment. If we have a look at the gasometer, it's on Buy It Now. Design your house around it. Never leave the house again.
Andy's pick of the week.
Now, sometimes a collaboration just makes sense, like peanut butter and jam, or fuzz pedals and regret. My pick of the week, and just beating the Lava Studio, D'Angelico and the Grateful Dead have teamed up again for the band's 60th anniversary, and the result is a trio of limited edition lightning bolt guitars that will absolutely split opinion, like a Dead set in 1974. There's the Premier DC and SS semi-hollows and a Tammany OM acoustic. All three feature that iconic Dead bolt graphic in red, white and blue, but it's translucent, so you can see the wood grain popping through, and I think that's what makes it classy rather than tacky. The hardware is gold this time around, the pickups are D'Angelico's own humbuckers, and each model sports the Steal Your Face skull on the headstock, just because. Now these are not subtle, they are not supposed to be, they're tributes and they will either blow your mind or your retinas. And I 100% dig them, and I would proudly play any of these. But the acoustic takes the biscuit for me, I think. Credit where it's due, D'Angelico has pulled off something that most Dead collabs don't. The guitars look genuinely premium, and I was surprised. Could be a delivery of a D'Angelico, you never know, it could be. It wasn't from D'Angelico. It's a secret release guitar that I can't talk about yet. You have to wait a few weeks. Anyway, for the D'Angelico, prices range from around 500 notes for the acoustic to around 1,000 for the electrics. And if that is too rich for your blood, there are matching straps available for about 30 notes. Bit out of breath from running up the stairs. Take a look at the old gasometer. Yes! My wallet is on fire. And I'm not even into the Grateful Dead that much, and yet I think these look superb. And having played these D'Angelico guitars, albeit in other finishes, D'Angelico deliver great guitars at prices that some brands wouldn't get out of bed for. Bad news, I'm pretty sure these are US only, but if you live in the US, good news. And if you want to send one over to Europe, you know. Anyway, thank you to the wonderful people that support the show on Patreon. Their names are up on screen. Hello, everybody! And these people support the show right here on YouTube. Hello to you as well. Thank you very, very much. And here's a special thanks to the top tier members. Alinta, Buddha Blue, Boom Shakalaka, Buzzle, Dirk, Doug Paget, Hugh G. Rection, Yindrik Strauker, Johnny McBadminton, Mike Lute, Andrew Morgan, Gary O'Neill, Josh Tamberg, Man Dude Bro, PQ Deads, Robin Kelly, and Sarang Narayan. Yes. Thank you, top tier members. If you want to support the show, you don't have to support it financially. You can, of course, just leave a comment or a like or a dislike to appease the YouTube gods so that more people get to see the show. Thanks to Vola Guitars. Go and check them out in the video description, and I will see you in the comments section. Bye!